Hi, my name is Liz Hathaway and this is my look at the week ahead, and that's the week starting July the 6th, 2020. So we had the final lunar eclipse of this season this morning, and we're out of the sort of woods sort of now until the next round of eclipse, which will start late November, the 30th November. We have a lunar eclipse there in 9 degrees Gemini. So there's an awful lot gone on in this last few weeks, of course. We've had, for example, release of coming out of the lockdown. We've had a lot of revelations again around the Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, you know, the eclipse today fell on Prince Andrew's Saturn, for example. So you can see that, you know, he is getting called to, man up, if you like, and take responsibility and, you know, stop sort of spinning this yarn that he's willing to help out when obviously he's, you know, trying to dodge the bullet here. So there's quite a lot of things come up, and we've seen, I've just posted something on Liz Hathaway Astrology on Facebook about what's happened to the changes in the constitution while this is in this eclipse period in Russia, which has given Vladimir Putin, for example, the right to remain in power now until 2036. So we're coming into as well season that the campaign trail is really going to kick off in the States. And if we look today, there's 7 planets this morning, because we can count the moon, in cardinal signs, and you can sort of sense that gearing up. You know, there's been a lot of protests in the Netherlands, in the UK, you know, people wanted to party, people wanted to, you know, have fun. Here in the Netherlands yesterday we had the farmers protesting, and you know, there's that Mars in Aries is really get up, stand up, you know, it's really got a kind of a feisty, fisticuff sort of feel to it. It's not going to play around, it's willing to, you know, to act. So 7 planets in cardinals, that is quite a package actually to come out of this eclipse season, to come out of this lockdown. It's like we've gone from, you know, sleepy to full speed ahead, you know, in a matter of days really. So it's quite interesting, I think. So yeah, today the moon, it's done its sort of eclipse thing. It's going to conjunct Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and then later on today it's going to move into Aquarius. So yeah, what's going on? Yeah, we see Mercury is still retrograde, of course. That's interesting because Mercury has still got to go direct. It's going to go direct in the weekend, and it's going to take a while until it gets back to the degrees it was in during the first eclipse of the season, when Mercury was, I think, around 16 plus of Cancer. It's got to get all the way back there. So in some way, some old themes will be coming up when Mercury now goes direct and, you know, has to come out and pass again over the same ground really. So anyway, Wednesday we see Mercury square in Mars. So this is kind of almost in a way maybe a kick for Mercury. It's going to go direct days after this square. So something requires us to take action, something that that offends us or touches a few buttons, or there's a need for action that we can see, that we need to come out of this sort of a backward moving motion of Mercury, which is very reflective. It's certainly in Cancer, it's very about the personal. It's very maybe as well dealing with past issues, past grievances, old pain or whatever, because we've just had this eclipse as well, this lunar eclipse. So yeah, it's a kind of a square in any way that can lead to hot gossip or bad language or destructive talk, or you know, Mercury certainly with Mars, it's kind of inciting. It's kind of words that generate a sort of, yeah, let's get up and go. Let's get out of this lazy mode or this easy chair, and you know, let's get out there. So that there's, you can see this. You know, I said last week the energy hots up immediately. Mars goes into Aries. On Friday we see Venus sextiling Chiron. That's a kind of an interesting sextile because in a way, you know, when we think of Venus, we think of affection, we think of you know, what we hold dear, what the heart holds dear, if you like. But Venus is in Gemini at the moment, so there's a sort of flirtatiousness, there's a sort of willingness as well to you know, share emotional things. And Chiron sextile in Venus is saying, you know, if you, because Chiron is in Aries at the moment, same sign as Mars, so that's kind of in a way as well. It's getting it's activating Chiron, this sort of Mars in Aries, and this sextile is in, if we talk about things, if we talk about how we feel, if we speak of our love, or whether it's been unrequited love or love that's returned, it doesn't matter. But there's some healing in that if we can actually talk about our vulnerabilities, maybe, because, you know, Mercury in Cancer at the moment, and Venus is in Mercury sign. So yeah, there's a sort of vulnerability there, but also an opportunity there to heal some wounds if we can get ourselves to that point of opening our mouths. And, you know, Mercury in water signs is not always the most communicative because it's frightened of being hurt. You know, if I say that, I feel a bit hurt now. If I say that, it might be even worse. But there's a kind of encouraging energy. Mars, square Mercury, Venus, sextile Chiron. It's about communication. It's about opening up. And then we have some lovely energy in the weekend, of course, when we have the Sun trining Neptune. I really, really like that. I mean, Neptune is very much the sort of oceanic feeling, you know, that sort of sense as well. Sun trine Neptune of forgiveness. There's a sort of soothing energy there, and this bridge building sort of energy, because the Sun is in Cancer and it still has to kind of engage with Jupiter, Pluto and Saturn that are, you know, in Capricorn at the moment. So the Sun has got a journey, and Neptune there at the very beginning is offering a sort of bridge, if you like, offering a way forward that is much more soothing, much more about forgiveness, about redemption, and also about, yeah, letting go. There's an element always with Neptune of learning to let go, of learning to open yourself up to bigger things, bigger pictures, and not to be too fixed in the past, which is a kind of Sun Cancer theme, and not to be too hard, which can be the Capricorn theme. Neptune in between these two forces at the moment is saying, you know, there's another way forward, there's another way to bridge these conflicts, because oppositions are always, you know, either or, you know, it seems like a sense of extremes there, whereas Neptune is saying, hang on a minute, you know, I can see a way that we can bring these two sides together in a sort of creative, imaginative, much more sensitive, spiritual, engaged way. So there's some potential there, I think, in the weekend for bridging differences in a week where there's definitely a sense of movement forward. But yeah, Mercury going direct as well on Sunday adds to that. So I think in general, if you look at the tendency of this week, it's very much, I just want to check one thing before I say my final thoughts here, because I have a feeling, did I miss something? No. So yeah, no, my general feel about this week is that we are moving forward, that there's still a lot of emotion around, there's still a lot of anger around, but there are some hints here that there are, you know, other avenues open to us if we are prepared to let go of the past, you know, which is the Cancer, to not force things, not like, you know, really force our hand or force other people to do things, which can be Capricorn. It can be incredibly forceful, particularly at the moment, and try to find a sort of, you know, a third way, which is Neptunian, which is much more engaged, shall we say. Okay, thank you for listening. That was my look at the week. Bye.